Hey there, everybody. My name is Amy,
And my name is Batsirai.
and we're already loved, and we want to welcome you back to our second episode of our brand new podcast. Hope you watched the first one. It was our story about our unplanned pregnancy. So if you haven't watched that, you need to go back and watch that. Okay, so I was scrolling on Instagram the other day, Christian parents, Christian moms, and I came across a couple of posts that were kind of driving me crazy. And so basically, like on one of them, it was like she had, how you edit your post and it was like super fast and had the music going, whatever. And her whole post was about discipline and being disciplined as a Christian and, as a mom. And so she was like rhyming through all of the things that she wants to be disciplined about in her life, wake up at 6, get my personal devotions done, make sure I read my Bible because that's really important. And then I'm going to move on to getting all the chores done before the baby wakes up, because if I don't do it then I'm going to be exhausted the rest of the day and I'll never be able to get it finished. And then, of course, when the baby wakes up, I have everything all set. So I prepared the night before, of course, cut up all my food and had all my meals prepared. And she was like rhyming through all of this stuff that she was going to do and how she was going to have her day totally ordered. So she was a disciplined Christian and made sure that she got everything done. And I was listening to this and I was like basically exhausted by the end of listening to it. And I mean, I'm saying all this today. I'm a very different person than I was when my kids were little. It was very much the same as what this mom was like saying on the post. So no judgment here, but I'm just saying the reality of how I felt listening to this. And then I wanted to look into the comments just to see, like, how are women responding to this? What are they saying? And I swear probably 90% of the comments were, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said this. I've been wanting to be disciplined and I've been trying so hard, and this is really encouraging me to be more disciplined and to, get up super early and go to bed late and finish everything at night so that I can get up early. And like every comment was like that. And I just we were talking like at the end of the day or whatever, and I was just telling him about it. And it irked me because of what I was saying earlier, like the stress of all of that, first of all. And it also triggered me because it reminded me of what I was like years ago when the kids were little. And it reminded me of how anxious and how stressed I felt so often about raising kids, about doing the Christian things that I should be doing, like reading my Bible and praying enough. Some woman read her Bible 10 hours at church and whatever. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like that, I need to do that because she's a great Christian. And it just brought back a reminder of like the stress of that and how I wanted so much to keep up and to do these things that I felt and I learned and I saw around me were really important things, to like be a good mom, to be a good Christian, to be a good wife. This is what it looked like. Why do we do that? Why do we have these expectations of ourselves? Why do we think that we have to accomplish so much? And why is that like the measure of what it means to be good as a mom and as a parent? I have a friend and we just started to get to know each other like closely over the last number of months. I usually go over to her house because she, her kids are like a little older now, teenagers, so they're at school. And so she's at home and not like working full time. So she has the ability to just have me over whenever, and I work from home. And so I like to go there because it's quiet and we talk girl stuff and all that. And she wanted to come over to my house one day for coffee because like I'm always going over there, and I honestly didn't want to have her over because and this is just recently, I was like, man, my house does not look like your house. Like her house is so perfect. And like I know her, she's not even actually stressed out about it. I think she just really, really loves that, and she has the time, and so that's fine. But I was feeling stressed because I'm not like that as much as her, and obviously like right now I have a broken arm that I'm recovering from, so I'm definitely not keeping things maybe the way I would like to. And so that was just like another smaller example of why are we constantly looking to these super mom, super parent, super ways of being, and like this model that women often have of what is good.
I see it through a number of lenses, but like status is maybe a big one. That in our Christian community, North America, and at least, there's this sort of Proverbs 31. If I'm like that, then I'm a good wife, I'm a good mom, I'm a good woman, I'm a good Christian.
Yeah.
And the status is like, oh look, I myself is put together, my home is put together, my husband's put together, my kids are put together, my kids behave, I'm a good mom. Look, my kids can quote scripture, they can do all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes this very like, I don't know, like something to aspire to.
Mm-hmm.
Like we look at the mom who does that, who has the perfect house and everything's just put together, and we're like, that's good, right? And then the mom who's like, it's like a hoarder house kind of thing. We're like,
but not even a hoarder house, like even just a little disheveled, like stuff on around, you know.
No, but I'm just saying, like we rank it, in a sense, like this is good. You are Martha Stewart, with a Bible, and then all the way down to like, what are you doing, right? And then so everybody's trying to appear this way. And the challenge is, of course, is not that any of those things are wrong. It's great to have a clean house and great kids and blah, 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 and go to the gym at 5 a.m. and be back to wake your baby. I don't know. But it's only like, I think I'm good if I do this, and I'm a good Christian if I do this. And that connection of behavior and good Christian, like that will happen in men maybe with work or with business or with sports, you know. Or I'm a good man if I lead a Bible study, if I am on the board at church, if I volunteer, if I am mentoring another guy, or, you know, whatever it is. And those are like, again, they're all awesome things, like in and of themselves. It's just when we start saying my goodness or my worth is attached to those things. You know, another way of saying that is like my righteousness is attached to how clean my house is or how well my business is doing. I think that's where we go wrong. But the weird thing is, like, why do we even want it to be that? God doesn't have that expectation of us. He's not saying, hey, you know what, your pantry is not quite, organized well, or your kids don't know 10 Bible verses yet and they're almost 2 years old. None of that stuff is going through his mind. So then why is it going through ours? And why is that a thing? And why is, like, great that you have a clean house and everything's organized and you're so disciplined. Why is that something to talk about when heaven doesn't care? Right? Why
That's
is it
a good quote?
Like, so you have a great house, great. What's that got to do with your righteousness or your goodness? I think it's status. I'm doing what is considered good and high status. And we're not consciously thinking that.
No,
right?
It's all subconscious.
It's all subconscious. And different church cultures do different things. Maybe if you're up at the front and on your face, that means you are really intense.
Yeah.
And is there anything wrong with being right up at the front and on your face? Nothing at all. In fact, I wish more people would. But when we're doing it from, this is what good is, and I'm going to try to elevate status or appear to be good. Like Jesus is saying, like, to the Pharisees, hey, you pray so everybody can see you, right? Because in that situation, the guy who's praying at the wall or praying, the Pharisee who's praying at the temple was the good. This is what good is. And so what's our version of praying at the temple? Having a cool Instagram about how clean your house is, or how many verses you read, or how many hours you spent in prayer. Like, we have all these metrics and these subtle ways of saying, I'm doing good, I'm being good.
And so the focus has become the behaviors. The behaviors that we do are the things that give us the value that we're looking for, as opposed to the identity that we have and have always had, that was given by God, that has nothing to do with your behavior. It was given to you by him, and that is the thing that ends up motivating all these other things. So for me, I think it's all about the starting point. Like, so doing those things they're not wrong, they're not bad, but it's like, where are you starting from? What's the motivation at a heart level for those things? And when I think of that, and like what gets us to that place, because it is so subconscious, like we don't realize that we're doing those things or that we have that motivation until we realize it. And then I think the other question is like, what gets us to living that way? Like, why do we live that way? And if we can identify some of those triggers, I guess, or patterns, like where did we get that from, that will help us to maybe backtrack. And I know for me, like a lot of my focus on behavior, which was again totally subconscious, was the fact that when I was being brought up, like as a child, as a young person, there was this emphasis on behavior and on what was good and what was bad. The emphasis on the behavior as opposed to combining it with the sense of you're still loved. You're always loved. So even though you do certain behaviors, you're always loved. You're always connected. You're also always part of a family, and you never feel like pushed away or disconnected as a result of the behaviors. And I think growing up, like I received those messages a lot that there was behaviors that were expected, and if you didn't measure up with those behaviors, then there was punishment, and it was just kind of left at that,
like disconnection, right? Like if I disobey or if I do something wrong, I might get rejected, or I might be like punished, or I might any which way method of saying you are not connected, or you are,
when you do these behaviors, you're separated. Yeah.
And that's what, but goes back to the status thing of like, the reason why we do some of these status things. I want to be part of the tribe. I want to be a big part of the tribe, or a leading part of the tribe. So I'm going to do things that the tribe thinks are really, really good. And so if I have that perfect house, it's a way of connecting or feeling connected, because now you're in the in crowd, right? And if you're not, and if you were to show how messy your house was and how like crazy your kids are and how you're arguing all the time with your husband and blah, 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 and you have to show all of that, would you still be part of the tribe? Or would it be like, yeah, she's not quite like all us together. And because she's not all together, then we might unconsciously, of course, slowly sort of ostracize. People don't call anymore. People don't come around anymore. Nobody's liking that Instagram posting, outside of sympathy, like, oh, so sorry you're going through all of that. Must be because you don't pray. In our longing for connection, I think, we do things that help us become more acceptable. I want to connect with you, but if you knew me as I was, you would not like me or connect with me. You would reject me. So I'm going to do things and dress myself up to look like something that I'm not, so that I can get accepted by you. It's like, Jacob and Esau, right? Jason Upton used to, like in one of his songs, says, we dress ourselves up like our brother so we can receive a blessing from our father, right? So in that story, Jacob and Esau, Jacob's trying to get a blessing. So wants to bless his sons, Jacob and Esau. And Jacob goes and wants to get blessed. And his mom says, hey, you should put on like some bear skin or whatever, some animal skin that makes your forearms hairy, because Esau's very hairy, and Esau's the firstborn. So he's supposed to get the blessing first. Mm-hmm. So he puts the hair on his arms, and then he goes before his father and he's like, hey, Dad, but his dad's blind. He touches the forearm and he feels the hair of the animal skin. He's like, okay, I guess it's you, Esau. And he blesses Jacob, who is stealing that blessing from Esau. But we do those kinds of things where we dress ourselves up to get a blessing, to feel connected, to feel accepted, to be impressive. But all those things are an attempt to, you could even say, to get a blessing, but the blessing is connection. The blessing is I'm accepted and I'm not alone. And so, I think we do these things. We dress up on Instagram for that. And again, is it wrong? No, but
it's like the underlying reasoning why we're doing things. And that's why it's like, it is so subconscious and it's hard to see until you see it.
it's like the law, right? It's like, oh, you gave me these 10 commandments, and if I do them, then I'm good.
And it's also, I think, it's sometimes easier to look to something external to do or to model after, to make us feel good on the inside, productivity, makes us feel accomplished, all of these things. It's sometimes easier to do those things than it is to actually have an intimate relationship with God who is on the inside. And I think that intimacy and that vulnerability with another person. So, I mean, we can talk about God, but we can also just talk about like me and you, our relationship with our kids. It's so much easier to say, go to your room because you didn't clean, the bathroom like I told you to. And the kid says, well, why? Like, and starts arguing. It's so much easier just to put your foot down and say, go to your room, obey this rule that I have made, rather than sitting down with the kid and working through the emotions and the dialogue in a connected relationship with that kid. It's just easier sometimes to do the other thing. And I know for me, like that's been one of the biggest things when we talk about, the commandments. Or for me, it was, I became a very rules-based person. So it was all about do this or else. And that seemed to be easier than the other thing of actually connecting with in this example, my kids and their heart, to help them understand why, for me to be able to listen to their emotions. And in saying all this, I'm not saying that kids don't need training, they don't need discipline and all that. Again, it just comes back to that heart-to-heart connection that we were talking about, I think.
Yeah. That's like the difference between, like said, compliance. Do you want a compliant kid or do you want a connected kid?
Yeah.
Right. And if you think, and most of the time what we do and how we behave and parent and talk about things, in fact, our whole society is compliance, right? Like go for compliance, like do this, listen, like don't disobey, boom, 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 boom. Do what I tell you to do right now. Like don't talk back. Like, yeah, it's like the army, right? It's like very like compliant. And do you need that? Well, the army certainly does, because they need to move people around. They have to, there's things they need to do, and it needs to move as one being. So compliance works fantastic for that. But in a family situation or an organism, it's the connectedness that makes things work. So do you want connected kids or do you want a compliant kid? Now, interesting, if you have a connected kid, you might actually get the compliance as a result. But it's not even compliance. It's just more of like, out of a spirit of honor, out of like just wanting to protect the connection. I'm going to clean the bathroom because I am connected to mom who's asked me to do it. And, there's this honor back and forth and this understanding. Again, that sounds very sort of pie in the sky and very like idealistic. That is the ideal in marriage, where we talked about this. I was like, I'm not cheating on you because the rule book somewhere said it's wrong, or because the vows at the beginning of when we got married said I won't do that, right? Like that could be true, where I just say, I don't cheat. Why? Because I'm not allowed to.
Because the commandments told me not to.
Right? Or it could be like, I don't cheat because I'm connected to Amy, and I wouldn't want to hurt her heart, and I wouldn't want to, it doesn't even cross my mind because I'm so satisfied with Amy that I don't have to go and cheat. Right? So I could say that. And which one's that's the connected version, and then the compliant version is just, because the rules.
Yeah. Someone else or something out there is controlling my behavior to not do these bad things, as opposed to the internal sense of control out of love and intimacy with God or with a person.
Exactly.
Is the controlling thing.
And that's the whole grace law question, right? It's like we as people, and I think the church, like we talk about grace all the time, but at the same time, we're very law minded, right? It's like, you don't do this, and you're not allowed to say this, and you can't do that. And, you don't swear. I'm just picking something like, like swearing or whatever. And it's like, oh, we don't swear. Why? Because it's bad. Why is it bad? Oh, it's just bad. Like, don't do it. Okay. Or, oh, I don't swear. Why? It's because my thoughts and my heart posture allow me to express myself in this way, in without swearing. The result is the same. Like, oh, if two guys don't swear or whatever. I'm just picking swearing. It could be anything. Like, we don't swear, but I did one out of compliance. I shouldn't swear because, we used to have the little jokes in youth group or whatever when you did something bad or you lied or something, and you're like, I'm gonna back away from you because lightning might strike. Right?
It's so sad.
Which is like, one, us thinking God is like that. Yeah. That he would send lightning to kill you because you lied. Yeah. Two, that's thinking like God's like Zeus. That's where we get that imagery from. But also, like, oh, my behavior is going to be corrected with punishment. Right? And therefore, if I don't swear, if I don't lie, then now I'm good. I have no threat of lightning and all that. Now, but what if there is no lightning? It's like, oh, I get to do whatever I want. And that's like the grace, do we sin? Should we sin because grace abounds? And it's like, well, no. But it's so freeing. Grace is so limitless and so good that you actually have to warn people, hey, be careful, right? Because there is no law against these things. Like Paul says, like, oh, everything's permissible, but not everything's beneficial. It's like, oh, okay, so I can do whatever I want then, right? And it's like, yes. The question is, what do you want?
And if we're focused on that intimate love relationship with God and that connected heart to heart ongoing relationship, then that love is what actually will control us, so to speak. There's another word that I heard someone saying instead of control, but maybe it'll come to me.
Government?
Yeah, like it'll govern you. So, and I guess my question too is, why, like in my life, in your life, and in all of our lives, I think many of us as Christians, why are we so focused on what we cannot do, what we shouldn't do, as opposed to living from that freedom that comes with knowing God and the freedom that he gives us to live in love? Like, there's so much goodness and amazing life to live in that love, but we're so focused on what we shouldn't do and those rules and all those external things.
It's just easier.
But why is it easier? Because in my experience, it's actually really affected my life in such a negative way. Like, since learning by revelation in a way that we're already loved, that there's nothing that we can do or say or achieve to make God love us more or less. Like, since I started really getting into that, I feel like the stress level in my life, like the anxiety, all of that has really decreased a lot since I haven't even been focused on what are those behaviors that I should or shouldn't do. Right. Like, I'm focused on, okay, my identity as loved by God, and just focusing on that has like brought so much freedom. So yes, it's easier in a way, but I think it's easier because that's what we've been taught. Those are the habits that we've been living in for so long as Christians.
Well, I was just thinking, like with Israel, like when God's like, everybody gather around Mount Sinai and I'm going to talk to you. And Israel literally says, no, Moses, you go talk for us. And then Moses goes up the mountain, brings back the 10 Commandments. Like, what if they had said yes? What if there wasn't mediators like Moses and all the rest? What if it was like God's like, these are my people and I have this direct connection to them? And it happened with Saul, right? And it's like, oh, we want a king like all the other nations around us have kings. And God's like, I'm your king. I'm the king of kings. And they're like, no, we want a real king, right? It's this thing of like, we don't really believe who you are. Yeah. And we don't trust you in a relationship. And I'd rather have the certainty of a law. Like, so they'd rather have King Saul than have God as their king. Yeah. And that's I think it's just such a human thing. Like, we rather have laws. We'd rather tell me what to do so that I know that I've met the mark. And we're always just trying to, again, because we want to be accepted. We want to be give me something tangible. Give me something I can hold, something I can understand. Relationship and connectedness, that's too uncertain, right? And so that's why people love it. Oh, look, at a prophet's come to town, or they get a word of knowledge, or somebody's, I have a word for you. And it's like, oh,
something external,
but also, oh, it also speaks to the connection, the hunger for connection. It's like, God thought of me, and he spoke to me. He wants to say something to me. And it's like, that's available for us all the time. Yeah.
We don't really believe that we have this constant communion relationship with God on the inside. Like, we don't, because if we actually believed that, the intimacy and the connection is really what this whole thing was about. Like, if we actually believed that, then we would go there. Like, that would be the place that we would go. But we're, like you said, like, we're always looking for these external things to measure success by, to measure my value by. If I do these things, I know I'm valuable. And I think that's like one of the biggest revelations that, we've been having the last little while, is that communion with God on the inside, like constantly, and growing in that sense of, this is my identity. Like, this is who I am. I am connected to God all the time. He loves me all the time. That love never stops. It's not conditional on anything I do or anything I say. Like, actually believing that changes everything.
Our union with God is unchangeable, right? Who can separate me from the love of Jesus Christ? Our communion with God is the stuff that goes up and down. Right? So, I really had an amazing time with prayer today. And it's like, I'm just on this high and like, oh man, I'm so close to Jesus. This is awesome. And then maybe a week later, it's like, oh, I haven't read my Bible in 2 days. So now you feel bad, like somehow like you're less than, or God. And it's like, well, no. Your union is got nothing to do with what you've done or your behaviors. Your communion with God.
Union is like, if there's a verse for it, it's like John 17:23. Is that the right scripture?
I have no idea.
Yes, you do. About? Where Jesus says that I am in them and they are in us.
Yeah.
It's John in there somewhere. 17, 16, 15, whatever. Somewhere. But anyway, that's the union that you're talking about, right? Like, God is in us and we are in God. And we're united together.
Yeah. Our communion is the friendship. We're connected, and we spoke this morning, and that will have its ups and downs, that will have its, here and there's, but the problem is we judge our union by how we feel about our communion, right? So when I'm feeling close to God, that means I'm connected, and when I'm loved and accepted, and oh man, look, I did this bad thing, I'm really a bad person, or I lied or whatever, and now I'm not accepted anymore. And then because I don't believe I'm in union anymore, that I have to do good things now to kind of get back into his good books. Oh, I got to pray more. I got to do this. I got to maybe volunteer more.
All these external things.
Yeah, to get back to this like level. Yeah. Like, I fell down here and I'm like down here now. What are you going to do to get back up here? I got to pray. I got to remember, like in movies where they say, oh, you got to do like 10 Hail Marys and you got to do 20 rosaries.
Well, and what that says is it's about us. As if God didn't accomplish it all when he said it's finished. Yeah. Like, are we actually thinking that this relationship with God is dependent on us? It's dependent on activity that we do, as opposed to the God of everything, the whole universe, every universe for all eternity, created it all, and he himself can't hold up this relationship. Like, he gets upset somehow if I don't read my Bible enough that week. Like, that affects him. Is that actually what we believe? But we do believe that based on these behaviors and these ways of living. And it's crazy. Like, and I'm only saying that today, like what I've been learning and growing in God. I'm like, it's no judgment again, right? This is where we've all been.
When he says, like, we are the righteousness of God now in Christ, like, we are as righteous as Jesus. And even saying that feels so like, really?
That's true.
That's like, we are that, right? And it's on his end, right? It's like, we are loved, when we say we are loved, not because we're lovable, but because, although we are, but because he is love.
Yeah.
And he can't help but love. And we are the object of his love. And so we are loved, already loved, because he is love, not because I cleaned my house, not because I have everything together. If anything, I would say like the trick, if you want to know, it's like, are you doing things for God, or are you doing things with God?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing things with God, that's that connected piece. That's that flow of like relationship. If you're doing things for God, yeah, it's not bad, but it's not relational, right? Mm-hmm. You can do a lot of things for people without them. But if you're doing it with them, you're with them, right? Like I lead worship a lot, and it's scary. I can literally go up and lead worship and not think about God the whole time, because your muscle memory. So like, the songs, the things, what to say, what to think. But it doesn't mean my heart is like on fire for God at that moment, just going through the motions. And it's like, that's scary that, well, this thing that should be utterly dependent on God because it's the only reason why we're doing it. Right. And it's like wanting to be that person. It's like, I am doing this with you, and not just for you, not serving you from a distance, but doing this with you.
For me, that was a huge thing when I started to think that way, that everything I'm doing in life, like God is playing with me, and God actually enjoys doing those things together. He's not saying, oh, like as a taskmaster, go and do this, go and get that done. Like when you think of good parents and a child, it's like we do things together. We play with our child. We get down on the ground and we play and we enjoy that time together. When I started thinking that way about God, it just totally transformed like all my daily activities. It's just such a different frame of mind than what I used to have. Obey the rules, do the rules, otherwise you'll be punished, and then you're bad. And it was all from that behavior first mentality. Whereas now it's like I belong to God. Like I'm in his family. I'm his daughter. He loves me, and he loves hanging out with me, and everything comes from that place now. Having my mind renewed and my awareness awakened to, this is true every day of my life. It never changes. Always loves me, always loves hanging out with me. And when I do things that maybe aren't the best or the most healthy, I can get up and brush myself off and keep going because he loves me and he understands.
In a way, you can tell, like, it's like when those things happen, do you run to God?
Yeah.
Or do you run away from God?
Oh my gosh, I used to run away.
Right? And it's like we run away because we're ashamed, we run away because we're hiding, because now I did a bad thing and you don't love me anymore, or you don't like me anymore, maybe. But if we really get this and we realize how free we are, but also how complete his forgiveness is, but also how deep his love is, and it's like, oh, Dad, I messed up, and you run to him, and you run towards him in his embrace because his arms are open. So those are really big things. There's this Brother Lawrence, a book by this guy named Brother Lawrence called Practicing the Presence of God. And I'm sure you've either heard of it but you should read it anyways. It's nice and short. But he talks about being a monk and how peeling potatoes in the kitchen, he would feel and experience the presence of God just as intently, if not more so, peeling potatoes in the kitchen than he did in the chapel. Right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't against the chapel. It was more of just, God is with me everywhere. And while I'm peeling, doing the most mundane thing,
everywhere,
God is with me.
Yeah.
And I think that's, if we can learn that, like God is with me all through the day. So if I have a clean house and I'm doing an Instagram reel about how clean it is, that in the cleaning, I was doing it with him. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing wrong with having a clean house. Mm-hmm. But it's when you're saying, I have a clean house, look how disciplined and how good I am, and you should try to be like me, mm-hmm. and how disciplined I am. And can you like my post? Follow me, because I'm the personification of Proverbs 31.
And this is the expectation of how we all should live. So
yeah, and we don't say that, but just by posting it, we're not posting what shouldn't be. We're posting what we think everyone should be.
Yeah.
So, but again, you can do those things from a place of relationship and do them with God.
Yeah.
And if we start looking at life through the lens of relationship and through connectedness versus through the lens of compliance and punishment and status and all that stuff, it'll be a lot freer.
Yeah. And I think, like, if just a couple of things we need to end with, if people are wondering, okay, well, do I think like that? Like, how do I realize whatever? I think one question maybe to ask yourself is what I'm doing right now promoting connection or disconnection? So, like, how I'm thinking about this situation, how I'm behaving and interacting with the people in my life, how I'm thinking about God. Is it promoting disconnected feeling, separation, anxiety, stress? Or is it promoting a thought of connection, love, intimacy, closeness, vulnerability, as opposed to shame? So just some of those words and ways of thinking can show us and reveal like what's really going on deep inside. And then I think it's really simple. I have just been saying to God, help me to be more aware of your presence. Help me to be more aware of you with me in everything I do. And that's been just helping me to grow in this and every day to see that, bloom in me more. So just a couple little suggestions that you might want to try if any of this was resonating with you.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Remember, you are already loved.
You're already loved, and so are you. So am I.
You're cheesy. See you later.